forever forcing this toxic relationship into a marriage. It's Voyager, please. A hateful voyage through the Delta Quadrant. My name is Joseph.
And I'm your emotionally negligent co-host, Peter.
We have a lot of takes, I think, this week, my friend. Before we get into those takes, quick shout out. We don't talk about our Patreon very much because it's really just there to help us pay the relatively low level of bills we have to do the show. We had a few people who kicked in recently. I'm not giving names, not because I don't appreciate them, but because it's not something I asked for permission to do. But over the last month, we've had not only a couple new patrons, but people who've increased their existing donations. Thanks a lot. Our expenses did go up a little bit. We're just covering it, but this helps make it kind of trued up to the actual costs, and it's really awesome that you throw in your few dollars a month to make that easy for us.
Yes, thank you for your children's college funds going in our server expenses instead. For your wives, we said thank you as well.
I was going to go with the more, feeding a starving African child on $3 a day or whatever it is. $3 a month. You can help these starving podcasters keep those show on the air.
Help these chubby white guys get pissed off about something that happened 21 years ago.
Oh, well, that's going to happen pretty definitely. The promised Patreon episode about Razor is still coming. We got thrown off on our plans because Peter had the temerity to have children and therefore family vacations. How dare you? And
here's the real truth to that. I'm so gun shy about getting back in bed with Ron Moore.
He's hurt you once.
My wife's brought it up several times, like, hey, you want to watch that Razor thing? And I'm like, isn't there a new Rick and Morty out? Let's check out that Loki. What's going on in Cobra Kai? I'll bite the bullet here soon, though. I know it's going to be good. It's just, God, those last couple seasons.
And then this is what's going to be so fun to talk about because it'll allow us to sort of unpack all of our thoughts in one place about BSG, which I think we're eager to do. And it'll be nice content for our patrons to consume and as a reward. So we promise it is happening. We've got soft plans for a new recording date. Planning to get it out here this month, which is July 2021. So we will hopefully be able to stick to that. But for our normal installment this week, Peter, what did we watch?
Season 7, Episode 3, Drive.
Well, I haven't seen this one since I got married. And it took on a whole different dimension now that I am.
This was a busy-ass episode.
This episode is alternatively quite well made and well done and well constructed on a number of levels and infuriating to the maximum degree possible.
Written by Michael Taylor, directed by Rick Colby, first aired the 18th of October in the year 2000. I'm going to say overall good. There are certainly some infuriating parts to this, but I think as far as Voyager stories go, it's pretty solid. It's in that camp of things that Voyager can do well in the premise of this race that's completely superfluous, right?
Of course. That stuff is actually great.
There's some simple paint by number stuff that goes on, but it's still pretty enjoyable. There's some dope ass new uniforms getting sported.
Oh, hell yes. Biggest wasted opportunity of Voyager was like that A, this didn't show up till season 7, and B, never gets seen again. The flight suits are famously dope, and they certainly held up upon rewatch.
Just think of it. You could having a Starfleet uniform that you could have the worst dandruff possible and no one would ever know. What a godsend.
I think that my complaints about this episode are really dominated by a topic we've addressed before, which is just how fucking terrible B'Elanna and Tom's relationship is.
Specifically, how terrible Tom Paris is.
Yeah, that Tom is not actually a good boyfriend and not a good partner, whereas B'Elanna has tried extremely hard to make the relationship work. And I think I would love this episode if it actually ended with them breaking up.
I don't remember what my ultimate pick was when we played Fuck, Marry, Kill Voyager edition, but after watching this episode, like, Mary B'Elanna Torres 110%.
I think I said Mary Kess, but I'm starting to agree with you. She is wife material to the maximum degree in this, to in a way that, as someone who has now married, I can more firmly understand.
I don't know if the vows in the future have anything to do with not breaking the Prime Directive, and if they do, I'd have to reevaluate Belana Torres after her
Yeah.
little
Oh
stint
yeah.
to the
Yeah.
to the
Yeah. She's
Greek
dog shit at
planet.
that. Yeah. Don't let her near any kind of ancient, dramatically inclined people.
But couples death race, that's who I want in my co-pilot seat. Episode opens up with Tom and Harry flying the Delta Flyer. We mentioned already that these episodes are shown out of order. So even though we've had the Delta Flyer as of what, last episode after it blew up in Unimatrix Zero Part 1, this is actually the episode where they make a big deal about how they had to remake it, and they're testing things in when they encounter another spacecraft in what becomes the first taste of a smorgasbord of special effects, new ships, and big budget CGI scenes.
They're certainly making most of the. It's the final season. Let's spend everything left in the kitty when it comes to effects. I think this is a reuse of the same asteroid field stuff that they did use in Unimatrix Zero Part. No, wasn't Unimatrix Zero. It was last week when they were going into the Borg debris field, I
Yeah.
believe, and then had to have a space fight against the random aliens they found there. Still, though, there are definitely, as you said, a lot of new ships, new effects, and we see that here when some lady in a space hot rod pulls up and wants to race to the next light.
So Tom, who now has joysticks, they
As
they
as we've noted, quite the way to control a spaceship around the year 2000. Thank you,
yeah,
Insurrection.
yeah, they went right over to the old prop locker for Insurrection and found not one but two joysticks, and hot glued them onto the front of the Delta Flyer. They start racing her. I forget what the exact line is, but we find out that the Delta Flyer is now the Knight Rider of the Delta Quadrant, and it has super pursuit mode where extra jets pop out.
I believe it was impulse boosters was the phrase used.
It's super pursuit mode, and they win. And in the process, Hot Rod Lady, who we will see her in a moment, her ship starts breaking down, and they like emergency transport her off. And Joe, for the life of me, I would have swore to God that this is the same lady who plays Kim Wexler in Better Call Saul.
Yeah, there is a striking resemblance. Definitely not the same actress. There's a lady by the name of Sia Batten,
Golden Hot's daughter is the only thing I saw for her.
and it was only in 2 of the episodes. Goldacot's daughter was famously recast 3 times. Um, like, and they didn't get right into the last one. So you were the medium Goldacot daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely looks like 2018 era Kim Wexler. Agreed.
This story is going to heavily feature the Delta Flyer and show the Delta Flyer off. She's going to clue the guys in that, hey, there's a big space race. Literal, not like a nation space race.
Oh, one note: they have to beam her aboard because some doohickey on her ship exploded. So they have a meet cute between Harry and her. He's immediately attempting to pursue her from essentially from the jump. There is actually a pretty cool through line with Garrett Wagg in this episode. He actually does a really good job, which is really hard to say in the same week where apparently he trash talked Warlord on his own podcast, which I do not think I could possibly ever forgive him for. He's actually really good in this episode specifically, though, like better than he usually is.
Side note to that real quick. We joked about it at first, but I really do feel like at some point, because initially he was like super like, no, I don't want to date any of the Delaney sisters, and I don't want to have anything because I'm saving myself for my Cro-Magnon girlfriend back at home, whatever the hell her name was, Janie or whatever. And then all of a sudden, he's pulling more ass than Tom Paris consistently. And there's never this point where he says, we're never getting home and I'm going to begin openly dating everything and anyone and have almost as much sex as Riker does in Next Gen, basically, right? Like I think it's like every episode.
Let's not say something we can't take back, Peter. William Riker was such a stud that he banged it out with a random alien to escape a hospital. Like it was the lady from Cheers playing that alien doctor came in after he came to in that episode where he's undercover right before first contact, and she's like, I always wanted to have sex with an alien. I'll get you out of here if we bang it out. And he's like, all right. And then you like cut back and she's like, all her clothes are all fucked. They've just banged.
Well, let me counter that.
That is a level of absolute Alpha Quadrant stud that Harry Kim would never come close to.
I'm going to counter what you're saying by saying that Harry Kim banged a lady to escape by breaking a chair overhead and probably killing her on Space Cougar Planet, where he refused to have sex with anyone, but did probably kill at least 2 women.
Definitely at least a TBI. Someone's got some brain bleed out of that, like.
But yeah, he never, addresses the fact that all of a sudden he doesn't care about his fiance, who he recently saw in the God, what was that terrible episode called where he goes home?
That wasn't recent. That was like season 2.
Whatever. He
Ex
saw
Post
her.
Facto
Was it?
I think so.
Ex Post Facto, I think, is the shithead episode.
Hold on. Harry Kim goes
San Francisco baller
home.
apartment.
Yeah. Non sequitur.
I
literally typed in Harry Kim goes home into Google as the first choice. It is season 2. I was correct about that.
Yeah. So it's not super recent, but for a guy who's a big cheerleader about, yay, we're going home every opportunity, he gave up on that real quick. So they bring over Kim Wexler and she starts saying, hey, there's a space race and it's great and it's peace. And we smash cut over to Tom pitching this crazy death rally to Janeway and the rest of the bridge crew.
And Chakotay's like, this is a terrible idea. And Tuvok's like, I agree. This is a terrible idea. And he's like warming up to give the hard sell. And Janeway's like, I love this idea. Let's put all our resources into doing space NASCAR or space space Ben-Hur. Like whatever one you want to use, it's fine.
I really liked her response.
Load up the Delta Flyer with red turtle shells. We're winning this kart race.
Wario doesn't stand a chance.
If I see a motherfucker with a blue turtle shell, there's a catch-up mechanic and it's bullshit.
Computer replicate 200 banana peels. I really like her reasoning in this. I thought I was going to hate it. Kate Mulgrew does a great job of selling it. It's a crew team building exercise. It's shore leave without a real shore leave. It's a chance for a bunch of scientists to use their science skills to win a race. And
it's diplomacy as well.
It's diplomacy.
Like, you get to meet all these alien races at a race.
Yo, dog, we heard you like race.
So I totally do understand why she accepts.
I think it would have worked better if there was a mechanic that said, hey, we need passage through this place, and the only way we're going to get passage is if we have friendly diplomatics with these people and they really respect this big race, and if we enter the race then we get a cool shortcut and we're in it. But I think that the purely voluntary fun excuse works almost as well.
Meanwhile, intercut with these adventures, we have Balana, who is going person to person to everyone who has holodeck time for the weekend and is trying to barter for that time. And she's attempting to do this because she and Tom have apparently the same weekend off for the first time in a long time. And she wants to have the entire holodeck to themselves so they can literally do a romantic getaway.
For a whole weekend. It's gonna be a stinky holodeck.
It's going to be a lot to get with the Zamboni when you're done. But it is such a cool like element of Balana is actually the good part of this relationship and is the one really trying. Because if you are someone who's ever been in a long-term relationship and have had a partner or been the partner that has done this sort of thing for like the two of you, put together the trip or put together the event and worked to make it happen, you know how meaningful it is when someone does that, right? Like how much effort goes into creating a shared experience for yourself and your partner. And it's like, oh, Balana, you're so great. You're
Shout out
great.
to my wife, who is the person who arranges trips and is amazing at it and will never hear this. You do a great job at it, honey, and I really appreciate it. The scene with her trying to get the doctor to give up his holodeck time because he's like the last component, and he's all sold on like, oh, he's practicing golf and he's excited about it. But he drops this line I love. He's like, "I've got a new hobby I've been excited about indulging. That's a classic hobby. What do you say? A classic
Of
hobby
Earth doctors for
of Earth
centuries.
Doctor." And I'm like, morphine addiction? What an exciting tangent you're going off on, Doctor. Oh no, golf. Okay, I got you. That's more sense. I'd be so pissed at the Doctor too. Like, dude, you're in the holodeck by yourself. Like, you could just be software in the computer doing whatever you want. Like, why do you have to tie up the fucking holodeck? You can just
You just
do all this
exist
in
in
your
the
little
Matrix
box around the
whenever you
wall.
want. Yeah. What the fuck,
Every
dude?
time you're not with us, you're in there. Don't tie up the fucking holodeck with your golf strokes, motherfucker. The CGI budget, as we mentioned, is huge. There is an internal hangar shot that every time they show Voyager's hangar, it's like a different size, a different shape, more exciting than it was the last time.
This looked like just a bigger version of the one that they used for Alice. You know, kind of
Yeah.
like I think it had a similar look to it, but just
But
like
this
twice as
time,
large.
you've got really stiff, awful looking Starfleet people way in the background that just some real F- CG stuff there. So just beautiful touch.
Trying to
Rick
make it look
Foley.
lived in, unfortunately made it look like a bad micropose
Looks like a
fucking
Gumby
PC game.
episode.
Yeah. Not great.
Speaking of ugly as fuck, the interior of
Kim
Kim
Wexler's ship.
Wexler's car.
Yeah.
It looks like the most 90s of Cedar Point roller coasters in there. Cedar Point's it's America's roller coaster. It's a very popular amusement park up in Cleveland area, Ohio. And boy, it's just all teal, salmon, big puffy foam bars. It kind of looked like the Dreadnought. You remember that Balana program to go Moab, some Cardassian installation?
Oh no, actually I don't remember that because I drank enough to forget.
Well, I'm sorry if I picked the scab off of that one, but it's just a terrible set piece. Whatever money they spent on CGI was taken directly out of the set budget for this thing.
Oh, Kim Wexler has very elf ears going, by the way, in this one. It's like super Kess ears. That's how she doesn't have shit on her forehead. Everyone else, all the other aliens we're going to meet in this episode look like they're fucking rejects from Babylon 5. Fucking dead ass, man. Like this kind of shiny forehead spots like they're having failing livers.
Yeah.
Kind of thing going on. But for whatever reason, they gave Kim Wexler like the super Kess ears.
You know, we'll have to sit down sometime and really tally up all the space elves that we've encountered in Voyager, but I don't think I'm wrong when I say the vast majority of Delta Quadrant space elves are fucking evil.
It's true. Yeah, even Kess, unfortunately. Rip to our lady. So ultimately this crescendos into the conflict you knew this episode was really going to be about, which is Tom realizes, oh yeah, I just booked myself to work on this NASCAR race the same weekend. My girlfriend has been working OT to get us a time for in the holodeck for an entire weekend, and he has to go down to engineering and tell her that he's done this.
After he has kind of jokingly told the doctor that, hey, monitor my bioscience because she's probably gonna fucking like pile drive me through the warp core or something.
Yeah, like Klingon temper ink, right? And he goes down there, and she's like so excited. I mean, fucking
work time kissy face.
I mean, they almost go to the fuck/murder loft. Instead, they just kind of go off to the side, you know, where
7 and 9 shot her down last time.
And it was a spot where Suter stuffed that body. It was like over in that corner. It was the corner where the bodies get stowed.
The body locker wall, yeah.
The body locker. It's near where they put the phasers, next to the warp core.
And the pipes, and that's also right adjacent to time bomb hole, glory hole.
Yeah, the time bomb glory hole.
Mm-hmm.
I think we call it the time bomb nook.
Yeah, all the engineering classics.
And so she takes him over to the side, and he's like, hey, I booked myself to work on this, but I can go tell the captain that I can't because we had plans. I'm sure she'd understand. And then B'Elanna's like, no, it's okay. You this is something you really want to do, and I want you to do the thing you really want to do. And Roxanne Dawson does such a good job of accurately portraying someone in a relationship disappointed by the person they're in love with. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. She just nails it.
I have never seen this situation occur in real life where one party, where the guy does something incredibly fucking stupid that everybody else is watching a slow motion train wreck taking place, and the girl does not once utter the word, it's fine. Like, I kept waiting. It's fine. I'm fine. None of that. Like, and the complete absence of fine in this exchange proves to me that she is the best girlfriend. And really, when she's saying, I want him to be happy and he should be able to do the things he wants, and putting her own desires second, that there's no maliciousness or anything in her, which you want to talk about breaking out of the Klingon anger, I hate myself and heritage stereotype. Like, here she is in the perfect opportunity to like rip his arms off or some Chewbacca shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't even say it's fine. Like,
yeah, she's not even passive.
That's how much she loves him.
Yeah, not a hint of passive aggressiveness.
So Tom skeezes off like the little piece of shit he is, and we have B'Elanna kind of just left caught in the wake. And the next scene is her going up to the mess hall, where we see some really evil, diabolical shit come out of that space rat Neelix.
I'm really glad you put it that way. This scene is uncomfortable because B'Elanna lays out like the problems with her relationship. Tom is a fun guy. We've had great times. But he's selfish.
Yo-yos on the ship.
Yeah, he's selfish. He's self-absorbed, self-involved, and I'm not a priority for him. And I need more than just someone that I admire and like hanging out with. I need someone who wants to make me their priority. That's what she's saying. Like, I want to be important to who I am in love with, and I'm in love with this man for whom I am not the most important thing.
She starts laying this out. Let me read you. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines of my notes I've dedicated to this scene, right? Shitty boyfriend Tom back up in the front seat. Fuck off, Tom. Dump his ass. You do not belong together. She says, maybe we don't belong. You absolutely don't
do not belong together. Accurate statement.
I hate Klingon stuff, all right? I didn't care for the Ron Moore Klingon episodes, but when she starts breaking out what her old grandma's saying was about Makta, the Klingon term Makta, bad match.
match. Yeah.
Yeah, grandma knows what's up.
But Lana, remember when you made your boyfriend a custom television set and got him television programs to watch on it, and then he ignored you to just watch television all night?
That's like
Remember,
that's pretty.
remember when he hid from you that he was being brain hijacked by a Stephen King novel character?
Remember when he beat you up in the hallway?
Remember when he hid from you that he had his secret holodeck time where he was fixing car and didn't want to include you, even though you're literally his hot mechanic girlfriend?
Which again is completely missed in this. Like, if you're gonna do space race shit, the fact that she's not the star of the show, very confusing. So she's laying this all out to Neelix, right?
Remember when Tom wouldn't fuck you to save your life? I'm sorry, there's so many.
Makta. Bad match. That could be the fucking episode title on this one. They don't belong together. Now, I've said many times that I believe that Tom and Neelix are good friends, and the show does not always put them in the scenes to fully present that. But the fucking dirty shit you see Neelix roll out here, you would think that Neelix had never met Tom in real life, let alone being good friends and chums with him, because he
gives the most toxic relationship advice possible. He does. He's like, you should, if you still love him, you should just make it work. You know, that's enough. Or you should totally not wait to tell him until after this mission is over, and tell him right away.
He's like, you should just dump him. And you shouldn't wait to dump him until after the race he's really hyped about. You should dump him right now, so it haunts him through the whole race, and it just fucks this whole thing up that the ship's like really excited about. Like, there's no good advice that comes out of Neelix's mouth at all here. And I think he really, again, Tom's a skeevy piece of shit. I am anti-Tom. But I think Neelix really goes overboard on poison pilling her here.
They end that scene and move to our first experience with the ambassador from the Antarans, where we get some backstory, like that this race was essentially set up as a commemoration of a peace deal within the region. Was at war, now it's at peace. They're having trouble like balancing all the different races' priorities, so Janeway steps in and is like, why don't we just host everything? That way you're not playing favorites with anyone. To which he's like, that is the greatest idea ever. You are the greatest diplomat, forever thinking of the simplest possible solution. You have all of our parties on Voyager.
Yeah, you will be the party ship. This dude, his name's Brian George. You recognize him at all?
No.
This guy has the best resume I've ever seen on IMDb.
Oh, he was Bashir's dad.
Bashir's dad.
Okay, I definitely see that now.
He's Christian, whatever her name is, the main NATO diplomat from Expanse. That's her husband in that. Dude plays Kiadi Monday in the Clone Wars. That's Rear Admiral Kahoku from Mass Effect. Did you play Diablo 3?
I did.
The little journals you pick up with the guy talking about the wildlife and the interactions of hell.
That was him.
That's him. He's the guy from Command and Conquer Generals that says, "Thank you for the new shoes."
So he's the mob from the what's the
GLA Global
GLA.
Liberation.
Yeah.
Brian George, look him up. Like,
he was Kamala's dad in the Avengers game. The Avengers game was not all that good, but the story was actually great, and he plays Kamala's dad.
Well, this dude's got a fucking dope ass resume. It's rare for me to see a little bit actor with so many cool things on there, but this guy's hitting the win button a lot. So yeah, she sells him and says, "Listen, if you're worried about making one race jealous, that an enemy race is getting some sort of honor, just let us do it. We're neutral third party, and we'll absolutely throw this party on our ship. We've got this holodeck. We can recreate the most beautiful, lush environments anywhere your wildest imagination can take you in Southern California. Or we can do it in our fucking mess hall where the space rat cooks in garbage cans.
Like, yeah, that one.
The budget is way out of control with all these CGI spaceships and flying. Yes, please let us use the VFW post you guys have up at the front of the
Could you
Veterans
imagine if they had gone to the Polynesian resort? Like, invite all of the dignitaries to the Polynesian resort, and it's just filled with all of Voyager's pre-programmed fuck toys.
Oh, hey, they could have fucking dragged the carcass of Fairhaven.
Oh God.
Oh no, that fucking O'Shamus Nasty or whatever, and the guy, his prison bitch, they've thrown nets on all the dignitaries and they're trying to sacrifice them to the devil now or whatever. These holographic scamps are up to it again.
So instead, they're having the pre-party festivities in the mess hall. That's when we finally get to see the flight suits on Harry and Tom. I mean, look them up if you've never seen them before. For some reason, they are really slick. Like someone also went to the trouble. Those are fitted, and as we have noted previously, these costume designers do not like to make these new fitted Starfleet uniforms if they can. They have to give hand-me-downs to all of the bit actors that you end up seeing, or special guest stars rather than make new ones. They made 3 of these fucking things for these guys because they are perfectly fitted to these 3 actors.
Yep, and they look good.
Particularly in the case, by the way, of Roxanne Dawson. My God, she looks fine in that thing when we eventually see her in one.
Tom and Harry are in their new flight suits. We've got all the other pilots in there. They're schmoozing. They push the Harry wants to fuck plot line a little bit more as we see that Kim Wexler's maybe boyfriend shows up. It's her co-pilot, and there's a lot of hugging and swinging around. No, they're so happy to see each other.
And there's some great like comedy beats there though of like maybe they're just co-pilots, and they start swinging around. He just gets this like look on his face like, damn it, missed again.
Mm-hmm.
They meet Racer X in that scene too.
I don't know what this fucking lizard dude's supposed to be, but
do you Racer X. Fuck him.
Next Gen, there were like the dudes with like the vape boxes on their chest, and they'd like stop and like take a hit all the time.
Yeah, the benzites.
Benzites, that's right. I kind of got some benzite vibes off him with a little sardines mixed in there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean he's a grim looking fish monster who's definitely the Racer X of this episode,
And seems like he's probably going to be a bad guy that sabotages things. So a little red herring there.
So they wind up getting ready. They do that scene. They're getting ready for the actual race. Right before that, you have a scene between Seven of Nine and B'Elanna, where B'Elanna comes in and goes, "Hey, I need you to do sensor shit." And she's like, "I'll do that in a second. I'm finishing plotting an optimal course for, Harry and Tom tomorrow." She's like, "You two, of all the people on this ship, I expected you, robot lady, to not be into this." And she's like, "I'm not into this, but I've learned that it's important to the crew, so I want them to succeed, and it's important for the way she phrased it is my relationship with Lieutenant Paris."
Mm-hmm.
And B'Elanna's like, "Your relationship with Lieutenant Paris?"
She's like, "Yeah, I SSD every now and then, and it really makes things go easier between us." Psych. No. We see some pretty good character growth, which has been an ongoing thing since season 6, I'd say. With these little nuggets of Seven of Nine is learning how to human better and better.
Yeah, she's getting it, and she realizes, I'm not into this, but I like Tom, and I want to get along with him better, and I know that means I have to sometimes like be interested in what he's interested in and help him do the thing, and then he's better at doing everything else. So it all makes sense.
Because everyone caters to Tom because he's a giant man child. And if he's not getting his way, he acts like a complete bitch. Like, they make Tom Paris such a fucking unlikable little shit.
And they have since that stupid... I mean, it goes back to me to Threshold, I guess.
Yes.
Like, where Threshold is all about his insecurities about how he's not going to get to like fly the ship that breaks the warp 10 barrier because he's like the epitome of Starfleet white privilege. I think that's what we said then, like, and it was true then. And it's just, Seven does it the most logical and sensible way of saying, well, if I support his goals and show interest in his interests, we get along better, and that's really my goal. And it's obviously the advice that B'Elanna picks up on, like, oh, I should just be interested in this thing that he's doing. Maybe this is the way I save my relationship. And
speaking of Threshold, though, that does highlight that this is twice that Harry's been kicked out of like a race car situation for another pilot or co-pilot, because he was originally supposed to pilot the Cochrane in Threshold, because Tom had that weird thing, and then Janeway took him off of it. And here we'll have B'Elanna Torres pull some strings and get Harry Kim to back off co-piloting what seems to be a very fun assignment.
Yeah, like, it seems like this is going to be a good time.
Yeah.
But B'Elanna wants some time with her man, so she just shows up and says, say Qapla', and takes a picture. And she's in the flight suit now, like, it's going to be you and me, bud. We're doing this. And Tom's a little like, what, at first, but he seems to embrace it. He's like, okay, cool. My girlfriend's going to do this instead. That should be fun. My
girlfriend, who should have been my first fucking choice, because as we've said so many, she literally is his hot rodding girlfriend.
Hot rod engineer girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And you're about to like take the ship into some, engineering peril. You should probably bring the best mechanic.
So, along with my idea that Janeway should be entering the race because it's going to give them access to a shortcut that's going to shave a bunch of time off. Like, this should have been the episode that they built the Delta Flyer initially for. Instead of the goofy space race with the garbage pail kids, the Malorn or Malon, whatever the fuck they were, to get the interstitial probe. Like, this would have been conceptually like, okay, here's this big race, and if we get involved in it, we get a shortcut home. We need something to unify the crew and a morale booster, so we're going to put all the ship's resources into building the Delta Flyer, and this is going to be the grand unveiling. I think that would have worked way better for the jump and explaining the existence of the Delta Flyer than that terrible fucking, what episode was that even called?
Whatever it was,
depth or something.
Back when the show had Captain Planet villains, that's what it was. So the race starts, and they're off for the first leg. It's like a sort of grand
hold on
touring, like European style race, because you do those sections.
You can't let this slide, dude. They do the countdown for the race, and what are they?
Oh yeah. Oh god. I remember seeing this and be like, oh, they're fucking with us now. They're just fucking with you now.
Chakotay, how many of those 38 photon torpedoes do we have left now? -12, Captain. All right, shoot off another one we don't have.
Yeah, shoot off another one. Why? Yeah, why not?
Fuck it, blow off one of those tri-cobalt devices. We'll rip a hole right in subspace.
That'll get them going.
Mm-hmm. Conspiracy theory that. Oh, so yeah, they pop off that photon torpedo and we're off.
We had a funny scene where 7 of 9 is like giving occasional robotic updates to everyone, which is not what they want, because everyone's into this like a chariot race. And so Neelix goes up to Astrometrics and starts calling it like a he's watching a literal derby. Yeah, like a literal chariot race. 23 Skidoo's in the lead. Followed by It Ain't Yo Mama, followed by Sagittarius.
Mm-hmm. Johnny No Socks coming up. This leads to Astrometrics getting flooded with spectators. In Voyager, there's only one TV in the whole starship. People can't just tune in on their pads at home. They'll have to congregate in there. And it's a pretty cool like sports bar environment. Until Sad Sack Tuvok comes in trying to talk about his goddamn security report, only for Chakotay to put hands on him and like, bro, chill out. No one
we're at
cares.
B Dubs. We're watching the
Yeah.
AFC play championship. Put that shit away. No one
Yeah.
wants to talk about your TPS reports right now. Yes. You know, you found out another thing that you're bad at when it comes to security, and you want to tell us all about it. I know. I've seen the reports.
The race is the Delta Flyer and then Racer X
Yeah, and Kim Wexler.
and Kim Wexler. And we start getting a little friction on the Delta Flyer as Tom's balls shrink because he isn't willing to do what it takes to win. But B'Elanna is, and she reaches, although she doesn't credit it as such, she reaches into her old bag of Maquis tricks.
Yeah, the do shit dirty club.
And I don't know, get some Crisco on the outside of her shield so she can like zoop past the other guys, and in the process there's a little explosion. So Kiadi Monday pulls the plug and says, hey guys, everybody chill out, we got a problem. And we cut over to Voyager, where now the front three people who were in the race, along with Rear Admiral Kahoku, are sitting there and talking about what just happened.
So it's worth mentioning also at this point there was a lot of friction because Tom is being a huge baby about he's the pilot, right? I'm in charge of this ship. I'm the one flying. You don't do anything unless I tell you. And man, like if you want to make sure that you go from 0 to single in 10 seconds, cop that attitude with whoever your significant other is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shit does not fly. And that's where this episode like is super like accurate as to like the dysfunction in the relationship, which just makes the ending even more baffling to me.
It's also worth noting too that in this interchange, when there is the accident, the explosion is on Kim Wexler's ship, and wouldn't you know it, unfortunately for her co-pilot, her ship came installed with the classic Starfleet improvised explosive device buried.
Yeah. So they helped her fix it earlier, so that Harry just slipped an IED in there. It's like,
wait, is that a bomb? No, it's a neuro gel pack. That looks like a stick of fucking dynamite with an alarm clock on the outside. No,
that's how he's gonna get laid. He's gonna explode this guy so that he can get in there.
What if that guy wasn't supposed to initially like really get fucked up, and that really was Harry being crazy and malicious?
So they have a little inquiry as to what's going on, and like at first Kim Wexler's like it's Racer X's fault, and Racer X is like, fuck you guys, this race is to win. I want to win. And B'Elanna's like, might be my fault. I scraped them both. And then Tuvok comes in and goes, hey guys, today is the day I decided to do my job correctly. So I actually found a piece of sabotage on Kim Wexler's ship that explains this. And that's when you get a little bit more of the some people don't want there to be peace. This is why this race is sensitive and important, because we have to prove that we can still do it. And everyone resolves to finish the race to prove the terrorists wrong. It's actually Racer X's idea, where he's like, we still need to do this.
These dudes give up real easy. I was perpetually impressed by this ambassador's willingness to just stop and quit. But they decide to push forward. We get a nice walk and talk where thirsty Harry rears his jealous head. He pops out in the hallway,
goes right for it, arm around the shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And like, hey Kim Wexler, I heard that my dynamite might have blown up your boyfriend.
She's like, funny, I didn't tell anybody that. He tells Tom and B'Elanna that he is going to be racing after all, even though winning this race is a big deal for the Voyager crew and everybody's very excited about it. He's going to be a big fat traitor.
Winning might be a big deal for the Voyager crew, but getting laid is a big deal for Harry. Some needs come before others.
And thirsty Harry's willing to go there. Tom is kind enough to stop and rub his face in his ugly history of dirty dates, from ranging from Borgs to holograms to dead girls.
Yes, that in that order. Exact quote. I was going to congratulate you. I mean, she's not a Borg. She's not a hologram. and she's not dead. Looks like you finally found yourself the perfect woman. Can add to that, not a energy vampire cougar, not a space Amish attempting to give you an STD,
Not a child.
not a child, my child, not literally my child.
Oh, what else is on the list? I feel like there's a couple more.
Oh, not a Cro-Magnon cave woman. I mean, that's it. That's the. I think that's all of them.
Not a potato salesman. Oh, although that would be a hologram. Not a catfish. What? So
Well,
yeah, when he says
that was a hologram too. Yeah, hologram covers a few.
Well, Harry didn't know she was a real catfish.
Yeah, Harry thought she was a hologram.
So that there's two different holograms. Not a holographic cow. Harry's got issues. We cut back into the race. Things pick up. We start getting some relationship turbulence.
The friction is only increasing between Tom and B'Elanna.
Rightfully so.
And two things happen as the race starts to come to its conclusion. The first is that, Harry is attempting to win the race with Kim Wexler. We're getting some anomalous readings, asking questions, getting weird answers.
Gets some real guilty faces.
Yeah, it gets a reading that he figures out, oh, this console's about to explode again. It's like, I didn't put another piece of dynamite in here. Wait! And then ducks out
when it
away.
Explodes and the electricity lashes out, for a moment I got my hopes up that this was the triumphant return of Shockey and that he had just been a stowaway. Also trying to bang
I'm trying to save you, Harry! I'm trying to save you from Kim Wexler!
I'm trying to save you from smooth skin that isn't smoldering from third-degree burns. That console.
The back of his uniform's all scorched from mini Shockey. I don't know if you saw that. When he turns around, it's actually a nice detail. That
usually when Garrett's on screen, I start looking at my phone. But so he rolls out of the way. Kim Wexler pulls a gun on him. There's some sloppy admissions of guilt that she sabotaged her own ship to blah blah blah. Yes, I'm the space terrorist that doesn't want peace to be here.
I didn't think it was sloppy. It was cool because Harry put it all together. He put every clue together, and between that, they're cutting back to the Delta Flyer, where their argument comes to a head, and Tom throws the brakes on and purposely loses the race to hash it out with B'Elanna.
Infuriating.
And she correctly brings up I'm not your priority. I'm not the person that you want to be with. And he responds by saying, well, I'm showing you what my priority is right now. All I want to be is the person you're in love with, which she's like, well, I'm surprised to hear you say that, which obviously based on everything we've had to say, that is actually
in my fucking notes. How Tom's reply to that, how can you say that? How can she not say that?
Yes.
You're a piece of shit. You're a fucking piece of shit wearing a brand new uniform. That flip back over to the Harry, the thirsty Harry love boat. If you could do me a favor, and I know you haven't put an audio clip in a long time, but if you could dig out the line when he says, "What the hell is going on?" Did that stick out to you at all, dude? This is some real peak bad. If you can pull that audio clip, I might turn that into my ringtone or my message notification.
What the hell is going on?
What the hell is going on?
Just for you, it'll be in here. I didn't even include the dun 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 last time you used it. Now, in my defense, that episode I barely finished editing. I literally got to the end. I'm like, I don't have time. I just put the I gotta mix it down. I gotta get it uploaded. I'm gonna fall asleep.
Hey, beggars can't be choosers. I appreciate you shouldering the burden for doing everything on this podcast, minus words coming out of my mouth right now. So I'm always happy with the result, regardless of how many dun dun duns in there. But if you can give me that, what the hell is going on? I thought it was comedy gold.
For our friendship, you can count on it.
But yeah, back to comedy gold. Tom acting like he's not a complete shit, sabotaging the entire race, which coincidentally is the right move to make here, because as Harry will deduce, Kim Wexler has engineered this entire thing, going so far as to drag Voyager into participating in the race. The Delta Flyer was using an energy combustion method that was illegal by the race rules, and she just so happened to have an alternative power source laying around.
Yeah, she had the converter for the plug, and that
The
ends
Mr.
up being
Fusion,
yeah, that
and
ends
that's
up being the subtle sabotage that's going to cause the Delta Flyer to be a time bomb.
so what's supposed to happen is Delta Flyer was supposed to win, and as it crossed the finish line, the ship would explode and destroy everybody waiting at the finish line and plunging this section of space back into bloody warfare.
And
But
her reasoning
luckily,
for it is she doesn't want aliens to mix, which of course plays against how horny Harry has been for Kim Wexler from the jump. So it's like super soul crushing.
remember, kids, space elves are always evil.
The cringe sets in when they start talking about their relationship more in depth. And we're supposed to, after a very good episode about establishing why they're not a good couple, suddenly buy that they resolve to be a good couple and get married. It is such a fucking leap. And
This feels like these situations where you have a loveless relationship and people should separate, and instead they decide to have a kid. Or I've even had my friends that are like, we're going to get married. And it's like, you're not happy. Why would you get married? This isn't going to fix anything. And then, 2 years later, they're divorced. Like,
I wonder why this could possibly have happened. It's
I-
amazing.
it's really shitty to watch. Fucking B'Elanna starts warming up to all this. It's preposterous, silly circumstances. And luckily so, because what was supposed to happen was the Delta Flyer was supposed to cross the finish line, and its warp core was supposed to rupture and blow up, kill everybody, and then plunge the sector back into bitter chaos and warfare again. But Harry's able to beam in Morse code with a cool shout out to Captain Proton. He's bypassing the communication lockdown that Kim Wexler put on the Raptor, my favorite Cedar Point ride. She's locked down communications on the Millennium, or the Magnum XL 2000.
That ride was dope. That ride is dope.
Dude, let me tell you a Magnum XL 2000 story. I was scared shitless of that ride when I was a little kid back in the fucking mid 90s, and my dad made me go on it with him. My dad's teasing me about oh, this could go wrong or that could go wrong. And I'm just scared shitless. Whatever. We get up to the fucking top of the hill. And at the time, this is the world's largest roller coaster, right?
Right.
And we get up to the top of the hill, and his fucking vest releases. His vest just releases and goes up, and you still got the seatbelt on it or whatever.
That's not what you want, though.
But we go over the hill with my dad, and my dad's in the picture, like white knuckle holding onto the fucking oh shit bar with his thing up. And that was pretty fucking scary.
Jesus. I bet he got his ticket refunded after that.
This is the 90s. There was no punitive damages on stuff like that. We just we're happy he didn't fly out, and we had a little story to tell about it.
God damn.
I'll tell you the one time we did get free tickets, but that's another story.
I might have it for the air.
It's just gross. But so Harry circumvents the communication lockdown she's got going on there, and tells Tom, hey, your warp core is going to blow up and kill everybody. And then Tom and B'Elanna get all heroic, and they fly off to some fucking nebula where God who knows who or what kind of little space kitties live in that part of space. But they dump the war core, and it explodes, and somehow they survive. And B'Elanna's all like, I do. And if you thought the human city in the 37s was impressive, boy, you should have been there for Tom and B'Elanna's wedding.
Yeah, you should have, because they didn't show it on fucking screen. That's for damn sure.
And you know what?
Closest we get to a wedding between them is when their fucking duplicates get married and then immediately die.
Which was amazing. Best
Way
wedding
better
on
than
screen ever.
this.
And I will thank the writers for not putting their fucking wedding on screen, because I don't know what I would have done with myself. They get married, and then you see the Delta Flyer flying off, and someone spray painted "just married," and then there's a bunch of tow cables, and the Delta Flyer's got a bunch of those big 55-gallon drums that broke Worf's back dangling behind it.
We look forward to the child that you two will have that will ultimately lead to your inevitable divorce. You terrible, toxic couple. Why do you exist?
You fucking Maktas. They do not belong together.
This episode is great for 45 minutes and bafflingly stupid for the last 8.
But it's on brand for their relationship. I mean, it's all silly and bad, but that's what we've come to expect out of this couple. So whatever. Silly, fun episode that works surprisingly well in the framework they built it in. There's some cool background actors.
Yeah, absent the decision to put these two together permanently, I actually really liked it.
Yeah, me too. And I feel even that their silly relationship stuff doesn't drag it out. Real shitbag award to meddling Neelix there, though. That was really a standout low point.
Ooh. Don't go to Neelix for relationship advice. This man literally dated a 2-year-old. Gross. Anyway, what are we watching next week?
Season 7, Episode 4, Repression. And we got Mott the Barber. Is that the dude from Space Friendship is Magic?
It is.
What's his name? Chell?
Yes.
Chell and what is unfortunately B'Elanna Torres and not Dobie. Security Officer Tuvok. Oh God, is this a Detective Tuvok? Detective Tuvok is investigating a strange series of attacks on Voyager directed at one of the former Maquis members. Well, let me tell you what. Tell Detective Tuvok to go ahead and hit the time clock and go home, and let's get Detective Neelix on the job so it can get done the right way and someone can get kicked into hell again.
This is probably the last time that Maquis stuff comes up.
Shame.
Yeah. It is finally like brought back into the story, however brief, but yeah. Interesting idea here. I think this is a good episode. I'll be interested to get your take on it.
Well, I'm always happy to play with side characters, especially ones we've established relationships with.
Yeah, this episode just feels like a lot of episodes in the season will feel of, oh yeah, that's a thing we did. We should do something with that.
Here's this guy that was in a season finale that wasn't supposed to be a season finale and sucked. Let's bring him back out with his gold chain. All right, man. Well, I'm down to watch.
All right, and thank you so much to everybody that listened to us talk about this show, and we will look forward to seeing you next week as we review Repression.